At 3:17 a.m. in an abandoned theater, a homeless woman watches herself on the projection screen, winning a Nobel Prize, giving speeches, changing the world. But here's the problem. She's 65, broke, and sleeping in the balcony with nothing but a sleeping bag. The footage is dated 2029, 5 years from now, and she has no idea how a dead theater with no electricity is showing her a future that hasn't happened yet. Then the screen shows her a second version, dying alone under a bridge, forgotten, buried as a Jane Doe. Two futures, both her, both 5 years away. Stay until the end, because what 65-year-old Elizabeth Warren discovered about these projections did not just change her life. It revealed that our futures are not written, they're chosen. And sometimes the universe gives us a preview before we decide. Elizabeth Warren had been a social worker for 42 years. When her mother passed away after a long illness, Elizabeth discovered hidden medical debt. The house had been secretly remortgaged. When Elizabeth couldn't keep up payments, the bank foreclosed. At 65, she was homeless. After 2 weeks in shelters, Elizabeth remembered the old Rialto Theater on Maple Street, closed for 15 years. She found the fire escape entrance to the balcony. The space was dusty but dry. Red velvet seats, a view of the massive screen below. She made a bed in the back row. For 6 nights, Elizabeth lived in that balcony, leaving at dawn and returning after dark. On the 7th night, she woke at 3:17 a.m. to the whir of a film projector. Light was coming from the screen below, but the projection booth had been stripped years ago. There was no projector. Yet the screen showed something crystal clear, footage of her, but not as she was now. The Elizabeth on screen looked healthier, dressed in professional clothes, walking into a building she didn't recognize. Text appeared. Subject: Elizabeth Warren. Date: March 15th, 2029. Location: Meridian Institute, Denver, Colorado, 2029, 5 years from now. The projection continued for 20 minutes, scene after scene. She saw herself in a laboratory, at a podium giving a keynote address. Text read, Nobel Prize in Medicine, 2031. Then the screen went black. If this is shocking you like it shocked Elizabeth, please hit that like button and subscribe. This story gets even more incredible. The next night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the screen showed different footage. Elizabeth living on the street, pushing a shopping cart. Text read, September 22, 2028, Seattle, Washington. She watched her future self, sick, alone, deteriorating. The final scene showed her in a hospital bed. Text appeared, cause of death, pneumonia, no next of kin, Jane Doe burial. Two futures, both 5 years away, which was real. Over the next week, the screen activated every night, showing different versions of her future. All of them pivoted around one moment. A door marked Meridian Institute, Experimental Cognitive Enhancement Program, volunteers needed. Enter that door, transform. Walk past it, decline. On the 10th night, Elizabeth spoke to the empty theater. Tell me what to do. How do I find this place? Text appeared. Phoenix Center for Neural Research, 847 Broadway. Ask for Dr. Marcus Webb. Tell him the theater sent you. Elizabeth went to 847 Broadway. The lobby showed no Phoenix Center, but there was a basement level marked Storage Authorized Personnel Only. She took the elevator down. At the end of a plain corridor was a door. Phoenix Center for Neural Research, by appointment only. She knocked. A woman answered. Can I help you? I'm looking for Dr. Marcus Webb. The theater sent me. The woman's expression changed. Come in. The Phoenix Center was larger than it appeared from the corridor. A series of rooms filled with medical equipment, computer stations, and research materials. The woman led Elizabeth to an office where a man in his 50s sat reviewing data on multiple monitors. Dr. Webb, this is Elizabeth Warren, the doctor finished, turning to face her. The theater sent you, which means you've been seeing the projections. Elizabeth's legs felt weak. You know about that? You're doing this? Not me directly. Sit down, Elizabeth. Let me explain what's happening to you. Over the next hour, Dr. Webb explained something that sounded like science fiction. The Rialto Theater had been built in 1947, on the site of a former research facility, one of the early government experiments in consciousness studies during the Cold War. The researchers there had been exploring whether human consciousness could perceive alternate timelines, potential futures. The experiments were shut down in the 1950s, deemed too dangerous and unpredictable. But something remained. Some residual effect in that location that occasionally activated, usually triggered by someone in a state of extreme stress or life crisis. The theater's screen became a focal point, showing these individuals glimpses of their potential futures. "It's happened 4 times that we know of over the past 70 years, Dr. Webb explained. Each time, someone living in that theater in crisis has seen projections. Each time they've found their way here. Each time, we've offered them what we call the enhancement program." What is it? Experimental cognitive enhancement. We've developed a treatment that significantly increases neuroplasticity, cognitive function, learning capacity, and problem-solving abilities. Essentially, it unlocks potential that exists but remains dormant in most people. The projections you're seeing aren't predictions, they're probabilities. Without intervention, you're likely to follow the downward trajectory. With the enhancement, you gain the capability to achieve the upward trajectory, but the choice is yours. Elizabeth thought about the 2 futures: success or death, purpose or obscurity. What are the risks? 20% of participants experience significant side effects: headaches, memory disruption, personality changes. 5% don't respond to the treatment at all. But 75% experience dramatic cognitive enhancement with minimal side effects. And the people who saw the projections before me? Dr. Webb pulled up files on his screen. Subject 1, 1968, chose not to participate. Died in 1972, circumstances matching the negative projection she was shown. Subject 2, 1987, participated. Now a tenured professor at MIT, published groundbreaking work in quantum physics. Subject 3, 2003, participated. Became a successful entrepreneur, sold her company for $40 million last year. Subject 4, 2015, chose not to participate. Current whereabouts unknown, last seen in 2018, homeless in Portland. The pattern was clear: participate or decline, transform or deteriorate. "Why me?" Elizabeth asked. "Why do the projections choose certain people?" "We don't fully understand the mechanism, but everyone who's seen them has been at a critical juncture. Life crisis, profound loss, moment of potential transformation. The projections seem to activate for people whose futures genuinely hang in the balance, where intervention could create dramatically different outcomes." Elizabeth spent 3 days thinking about it. She returned to the theater balcony each night, watched the projections continue showing her the 2 possible paths. She researched the Phoenix Center as much as she could, found scattered references to their work in academic journals, confirmed that Dr. Webb was legitimate, that other participants had gone on to remarkable achievements. On the 4th day, she made her choice. She enrolled in the enhancement program, and the treatment took 6 weeks. It involved a combination of targeted pharmaceutical interventions, electromagnetic stimulation of specific brain regions, and intensive cognitive training. Elizabeth lived at the Phoenix Center during this time, in comfortable quarters, working with Dr. Webb and his team. The changes were gradual but profound. Elizabeth found herself understanding complex concepts she'd never studied. She began devouring advanced textbooks in biology, chemistry, neuroscience. What would have been incomprehensible 6 weeks earlier now made perfect sense. Her mind felt sharper, faster, more capable of making connections between disparate ideas. By the end of the program, Elizabeth wasn't the same person who'd walked in. Not in a bad way. She was still herself, still had her memories and values. But she'd been upgraded, enhanced, given tools her brain had always possessed but never accessed. Dr. Webb offered her a position at the Phoenix Center as a research coordinator. She accepted. Over the next year, Elizabeth earned her doctorate through an accelerated program, her enhanced cognition allowing her to master in months what normally took years. She began contributing to cutting-edge research in neural regeneration and cognitive enhancement. the Meridian Institute footage she'd seen. That came true 3 years later, when she transferred to their Colorado facility to lead a major research project. The Nobel Prize? That's still 5 years away in 2031, but based on her current work, Dr. Webb says it's increasingly likely. Elizabeth is now 67, but people regularly mistake her for 50. The enhancement treatment had unexpected benefits, improved overall health, increased energy, what Dr. Webb calls a systemic optimization effect. She lives in Denver, in an apartment with mountain views, exactly as the projection showed. She still thinks about that abandoned balcony sometimes, about the nights she spent there watching impossible footage of futures that might or might not come true. She thinks about the choice she made, the risk she took, the life she gained. And she thinks about the people who saw the projections before her, the ones who chose not to participate. Subject 1 and Subject 4, who followed the darker path. She wonders if they ever regretted their choice, if they ever wished they'd taken the risk. Elizabeth returned to the Rialto Theatre once, 2 years after her transformation. She climbed the fire escape to the balcony, sat in her old seat. At 3:17 a.m., the screen flickered to life one final time. But instead of showing her future, it showed a simple message. Choice made, probability collapsed, future realized. Well done, Elizabeth. Then the screen went dark and never activated again. If Elizabeth's story moved you, please like this video and subscribe. Share it with someone who's facing impossible choices. Leave a comment. Would you have taken the enhancement? Would you have risked everything for a chance at transformation? Thank you for watching, and remember that sometimes losing everything puts us in the exact place where we're meant to see what we could become. Sometimes an abandoned theater shows us possibilities we never imagined. And sometimes the future isn't fixed. It's waiting for us to choose.